76, and I believe we got the stream up here too as well. I almost forgot to get that started here on the Schmidt Show today. So if you do want to see what my ugly mug looks like, I understand if you don't, but if you do, all you got to do is go over to Twitter, over to our YouTube channel, which is just News Radio 102.9 KRN, or go to our website, and on the website, if you click on the on demand or just kind of hover over the on demand tab where you go to listen to the podcast and the on demand of the show, you'll see a little drop down that says Karn TV. You click on that and you can see the live stream of the show. You can see me talking to you. So welcome once again to the Schmidt Show as we kick things off here for another week. As we get things rolling, I want to quick mention that for those of you who ever had to deal with shingles, I want to just say I feel your pain very, very literally. I am still struggling through some of the pain associated with shingles. And so for those of you who have ever struggled with that, I genuinely now understand, and I feel deeply sorry for you, because from what I've heard, as bad as my case was, I literally just had a conversation in the hallway that there's other people that have it much worse. I've heard of people getting it like in their eye and like going blind and like all kinds of crazy stuff. So thank you for all of you that have wished me well on the various social media posts. I very, very much appreciate that. And I thank you for your well wishes and kind words there. But yeah, for those of you who have had shingles, I deeply, deeply feel bad for you, because this is terrible. This is some of the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And like I said last week, I was actually on fire once from my knee to my shoulder and ended up with 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my stomach. And I thought that was bad, but this I genuinely believe was worse. So just wanted to say a quick thank you and give an update. I'm on the mend. I'm feeling much better, but still in a fair amount of pain and taking some medicine to hopefully to dull that a little bit. So as we get into the day today, we've got a lot to talk about. Of course, the big story of the day, the Anthony Fauci testimony. Anthony Fauci testifying live before Congress over the COVID stuff and the pandemic response and stuff, has taken a lot of heat from a lot of different members of Congress and asked some fairly tough questions. I feel like somebody's lying in some of this. One of the congresswomen, I guess, one of the congresswomen, I don't remember her name, I believe she was from New York, asked about some of the efforts to skirt the FOIA laws, and Anthony Fauci said, "Oh no, never! I would never do that. I'm a shining example of honesty and integrity, and that I don't know what any of those people are talking about." So somebody's lying clearly, because they have emails. They have emails directly discussing the fact that people within the NIH, including Mr. Fauci himself, or Dr. Fauci himself, that they skirted the FOIA laws, and he has denied all of that. So we'll get into some of that discussion. Here's my frustration with this, and I've said this many times about many of these hearings. I'm just genuinely not convinced that anyone will be held accountable for anything. I'm not convinced that anyone will be held accountable for anything as it relates to the pandemic. Businesses and lives and livelihoods destroyed by the thousands. Medical issues that we have no idea where they will lead into the future. We are seeing more and more, and they just brought out a new research study that said pericarditis and myocarditis present more likely in individuals who got the shot but didn't get COVID or had not been infected with COVID than people who got, because that was one of the arguments that people like Fauci and stuff made, is, oh, myocarditis is one of the symptoms of a COVID infection. And the most recent study said, nope, it has nothing to do with the COVID infection. It has everything to do with those who were vaccinated for COVID. And so there's the the very real frustration that no one's going to be held accountable for this. I don't see Anthony Fauci going to jail. I don't see Anthony Fauci even being charged with anything. And as far as the Google stuff goes, because they said they moved a bunch of this stuff over to Gmail or whatever. One guy said I deleted a bunch of emails after moving them all over to Gmail to avoid FOIA requests and whatnot. And here's the interesting thing about that. Why not just subpoena his Gmail account? Why not just subpoena the Gmail accounts of these individuals that work at the NIH or the NAIAD or whatever their acronym is? Why not just subpoena them? Because we all know that Google, Facebook, Twitter, all of those, Instagram, all of those over at big tech, they can't wait to give the government information. We had Zuckerberg testifying, and I think he even admitted it on a Joe Rogan podcast, that the FBI had basically a direct line to Facebook to make sure that they could control information, to make sure that quote-unquote misinformation or disinformation was put down. Even though we now know that much of what they were trying to end and keep quiet was absolutely 100% true. We have the Twitter files that mention all of the efforts that the FBI went through to curtail and crush free speech. No one was held accountable there. No one from Twitter, no one from Facebook, no one from Google or any of the other tech giants were held accountable for that. No one from the FBI was held accountable for any of that. It was just, it was a pandemic. We didn't know what was going on. We weren't sure what was happening. So we're sorry. We won't do it again. Well, I can tell you that's a lie. It is an absolute lie. I don't know how many times I have said this since I have started in the world of talk radio. Anytime someone tells you the government would never do that or isn't going to do that, I can almost guarantee you with 100% accuracy that they absolutely have done that. They were doing that. They probably are doing that, and they will very likely continue doing that into the future, as long as it perpetuates their ability to maintain control over the citizenry. So we can watch these committee hearings and we can all get excited and laugh and clap and point and brag about how Fauci got owned by this congressman or got destroyed in questioning by this congressman. And it didn't happen. He didn't get owned. He didn't get destroyed. He didn't get nothing, because he's going to walk out of there with his multi-millions of dollars in money that he's earned through the various drugs that he and his organization had direct authority over approving or not approving. The conflict of interest within the NIH and the CDC and all of these other government agencies is so unbelievably corrupt that if it happened anywhere else, the government would raid their homes and shoot them in the head while trying to serve a search warrant. But as long as it's the NIH and the CDC and the whatever, they get away with it. And we've got reports now and direct evidence that more than $700 million in royalties was paid to scientists at the NIH and the CDC and whatever other organizations. So Anthony Fauci is going to do this testimony, and I promise you, all of those same congressmen that are quote-unquote grilling him, they're going to be out in the hallway high-fiving and slapping each other on the back. And tonight, somewhere in Washington, D.C., all those crooked jackwads are going to probably be having dinner with Anthony Fauci as they laugh at you and I about how stupid we are for what we have fallen for. So forgive me if I'm a bit skeptical and a little bit angry today, but I'm sick and tired of these stupid hearings, wasting our money and our tax dollars where these jackwad congressmen and congresswomen can sit up there and grandstand about how they're gonna finally bring justice to it, and nothing will ever happen. Nothing will ever happen. Fauci's not going to be held accountable. Dr. Birx isn't going to be held accountable. Nobody from the Trump administration is going to be held accountable. Nobody from the Biden administration that pushed this is going to be held accountable for anything. No congressmen, no senators, nobody is going to be held accountable for anything. This is all a joke. It's a sham so that they can raise money to get reelected. Jim Jordan's got to be able to send out an audio clip and an email about grilling Fauci so you feel good about donating to his campaign. Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and all of the other Republican senators that play tough need to have that soundbite so they can use it to send you in an email to raise funds for their campaign, because we got to stop those evil Democrats and make sure the pandemic stuff like this never happens again. Well, I guarantee you the next time the bird flu or whatever other stupid flu comes around, they'll do it all over again. And we'll have these same hearings 5 years from now. Rant over. First segment done and in the bag. We'll get all of your thoughts, your emails, your phone calls, your text messages, your phone calls all coming up next on News Radio 1029 KARN.